Hi, my name is Neha Sami. I'm one of the faculty here at IHS, and I'll be here for the next hour or so talking about our work at IHS, about the fellowship program, and answering any questions that you all might have about the application process, as well as the course itself. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm trained across three different disciplines. I have an undergraduate degree in economics from St. Xavier's College, Bombay. I then went on to study environmental studies from the forestry school at Yale. I worked for a couple of years after that with the city of Boston, and then went on to do my PhD in urban planning from the University of Michigan. And I've been at IHS for about 6 odd years now. And here at IHS, my sort of administrative hat is that I anchor the research program together with sort of a large team of people here. And in addition to that, I also teach and do research around questions of urban governance and planning, focusing particularly around large infrastructure. So recently I've been doing a lot of work around the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor. And I also do work on questions of climate change and environmental planning, particularly at the city scale. I'm happy to sort of answer questions. So please feel free to interrupt at any point if you have questions. But otherwise, I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process for the UFP. So as you all probably know, the application process will close in a month, roughly around on April 16th. The application form is online. We're happy for you to, well, preferably submit it online, but you can also print it and send a print copy if that's what you would prefer. The application itself is composed of a couple of different sections. The first section is largely biographical information about about yourselves, your educational background, work experience, if any. And then the second part of the application form focuses particularly on three kind of substantive essay questions. And what we're looking at to get from you from the essay questions is sort of an understanding of your analytical abilities, your abilities to engage with the urban, your ability to sort of think and probe and push about sort of problems that you see in and around you in your cities, and show kind of a really strong desire, a really strong passion to try and change what you see in your cities around you. We're happy to take applications in any language that you're comfortable writing in or speaking in. This is an English language taught program, but we try very hard to make people from other sort of linguistic backgrounds as comfortable as possible. We've run support sessions around sort of teaching in different languages, etc. So we're happy. So please don't sort of hesitate to reach out to us if you do have questions about the form itself, if you have questions about sort of the language question in the form, if you have issues with deciding on samples of work you would like to send in. Again, remember, the sample of work doesn't necessarily have to be written. It could be audiovisual, it could be drawings, it could be your architecture portfolio. It can be in any form. Similarly with the essays, we would encourage you to sort of use multiple media if you would feel comfortable doing that to illustrate your responses to the essays as well. So feel free, particularly in response to question 3, which is sort of the analytical problematic that we've posed, feel free to kind of ask or use sort of sketches, drawings, images, if that's what you would feel makes your point better. So if there aren't any questions about the form in particular, I'm going to talk a little bit about the kind of work that I've been doing. So like I said before, I've focused on understanding sort of infrastructure and the governance and planning of large infrastructure around Indian cities. And recently, a lot of my work, along with a few colleagues here, has focused on understanding the planning and governance around the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but this is a large kind of almost 1,500 kilometer corridor that runs or that will run from Delhi to Mumbai. It is being built using the high-speed freight corridor as the spine of the industrial corridor, and 100 kilometers on either side of the spine is the sort of buffer region where the industrial corridor will be built. Our work initially began by trying to understand the impact of such a large infrastructure project, something that's so vast and crosses 7 states, has challenges across questions of governance, questions of different legal frameworks, questions of different languages, etc. When we actually started doing the work, we found that cities actually, for good or for bad, weren't actually very closely involved in the planning process of this. In fact, the Ministry of Urban Development and departments of city planning at the local level were actually not part of this process at all. What we found was this was primarily run and managed by the Department of by the Ministry of Commerce and the Department of Industrial Promotion within that. And what we were beginning to see is actually quite fascinating, which is a growing presence of technocrats from the private sector, as well as technocrats from the ministry, but not from folks who are engaging with urban development, who are actually using a lot of the language of urbanization, using a lot of the kind of rhetoric of urban growth and development to push these infrastructure projects, but that we weren't actually seeing a lot of cities benefiting or actually even participating in the process of planning and building these corridors. The other interesting thing that we found was that these large infrastructure projects, although planned nationally from the center, were also being very, very kind of interestingly mediated by state and regional governments. So, for example, the government of Rajasthan and the government of Gujarat both had very different approaches to how they would build and approach the question of kind of engaging with the large infrastructure corridor that was passing through their state. And each state, given their particular legal and political frameworks, also ends up having several challenges around sort of land acquisition, around developing industry, around procuring funding. There are a whole range, and what we fail to realize often is that it's a very kind of localized and even though the plan comes from a national level, the actual implementation of it rests at the state or the regional level, and the eventual kind of impact is being felt very much at the local level. And interestingly, and somewhat unfortunately, these people at these different levels, so policymakers at these different levels, don't end up having a conversation across each other and across different sectors, which ends up creating all kinds of problems in terms of governance, in terms of coordination, in terms of actually implementing and executing projects. If there aren't any questions, let me tell you a little bit about the sort of outreach and physical outreach events that we've planned around the UFP. So a lot of our faculty are actually at this point traveling across the country, and they will be in several cities all across India. So if you would like to meet with them, if you'd like to come and talk to us, check our website. We'll send the link out shortly. We're also, for those of you who are based in Bangalore, going to have interactive and information sessions in Bangalore. There will be 4 starting next week. 2 of which will be held at our Bangalore City campus in Sadashiv Nagar, and 2 will be held at a location in South Bangalore. So the details of those will be both on our Facebook events page, also on our website. So please let us know and please come see us, come talk to us. We'll also be having a specific webinar midweek next week, so look out for that. That will focus particularly on the application form itself and walk you through the form, answer any questions that you might have about filling it, questions that you might have about expectations during the entire application process. So keep a lookout on our website and on our Facebook page for more information on both the outreach events for where you can go and meet our faculty, and also for outreach events here in Bangalore, as well as sort of the webinar schedule, both subject-specific webinars that will continue through the next 3 weeks, but also a specific webinar on the application form itself. So let me tell you a little bit about the fellowship program itself. Like I said, the application process will close April 16th, after which our admissions committee will review the applications, an interview shortlist. And that will be the first stage of the application process. The second stage is the interview. The interview shortlist will be announced sometime towards the middle of May. Approximately, there will be about between 150 odd applicants from our total pool who will be shortlisted for the interview. That will take place in the last week of May, and we hope to announce a class in early June, which should give you a couple of months before the start in August to kind of arrange for, give notice, etc., and arrange for a move if you need to. All applicants are eligible for Iatest scholarships, which the only thing you have to demonstrate is suitable financial need. These scholarships will cover your living expense, the food and board. However, we do also offer additional fellowships over and above the Iatest scholarships, which will be limited and they'll be competitive, and you will have to apply to avail of those. All of this will be sort of given to you in much more detail once you are admitted to the program. More details will also be made available to those who are shortlisted for the interview process. Once the applications close and the class is announced, the program will begin in August and run. It's a 9-month program, so it will run through at the end of April. So it's 7 months of teaching and 2 months of an internship. The internship is guaranteed as long as sort of it's guaranteed by us. We'll place you with either with our partners or with with folks from our networks. But it's we arrive at the internship location collectively, so together with the partner. There are no placements. One of the questions is if there are placements at the end of the program. There are no guaranteed placements at the end of the program. However, we do work very closely with you to identify locations where you would like to move to in terms of work. Several of our fellows have gone on to do higher degrees, whether a master's or a PhD. Several of them have gone back to their older jobs. So yeah, we don't guarantee placements, but we do help you find jobs. So just in terms of, to continue on the question of placements, several of our fellows who graduated from the program in the last 2 rounds have gone on to do very interesting things. So from our first round of fellows, people have gone on, like I said, to do both masters and PhDs in India as well as overseas. We've had several of them go back to their earlier practices. So some were journalists and they have gone back to doing much more engaged urban focused journalism. A few came in with a very specific idea of the kind of practice they wanted to do. So there are several who are now working with think tanks, with research organizations, with the private sector. So one of our fellows is now, for example, working with a consultant company, CBRE. There's a whole range of people who are employed with nonprofits. But yeah, there's been a whole range of, so people have gone to very, very diverse places right after they finished. Someone was asking a question regarding the sample of professional academic work. Report on material science for a technical fest, what is not? It doesn't. So the sample of work doesn't have to be strictly related to urban planning. This is a very broad, a broad-based program. We would encourage you really to, most importantly, see if we would prefer to see work that you have done on your own, that is not part of a larger group, because that would be ideal for us to be able to assess and evaluate your analytical ability. You can send in, and an assignment is fine to send in. You can send in the work that you've done around your the report on material science. What we would encourage you to do is to select what you think best represents your own work. We would be happy to read either of those two. But if it's for example, if it was a fest and it was kind of a concept note, that would work. But if it's kind of a background sort of information for the festival itself, then I would encourage you to rather submit the assignment. So I'll leave it to you to decide which of the two better represent your own your own sort of work. But preferably, if the report that was done for the technical fest was done as part of a group, I would encourage you to not submit that. Or if you do want to submit that, identify clearly which components or which parts of those were yours, just so we can then understand what your contribution was to the larger body of work. Does that help? The details of the course, syllabus, etc. are up on the website. So please do look through those. And there are a whole range of FAQs on the website. Please do look through those as well. If you have any questions, if you have any difficulties at all with either filling the form, understanding the form, questions about what the process is like, about the course itself, please do reach out to us. There are phone numbers on our website. There's an email address. There are also testimonies from earlier fellows on the website. Feel free to kind of go through those. They talk quite candidly about their experiences here at Iatest and through the program. And we, of course, are more than happy to answer any questions you might have. So if there aren't any further questions, then we'll close the webinar. But I just want to remind you again that our faculty are going to be across different cities in India. We're also having outreach events here at our city campus in Bangalore. Look out for those dates on our Facebook page and on our website. And like I said, if you have any questions, get in touch with us. Thank you. The next webinar will be on Thursday, also at 5 p.m.